Life inside ADX. Florence, the prison that breaks men. Continuation. The critics and the condemned. Not everyone sees ADX Florence as a triumph of justice. Human rights organizations, psychologists, and even former prison officials have raised alarms. They argue that what happens inside these walls crosses the line from security into cruelty. The United Nations has condemned extended solitary confinement as torture, and lawsuits against ADX paint a grim picture. Inmates mutilating themselves, smearing blood on the walls, begging for psychiatric help that never comes. One lawsuit revealed an inmate who swallowed razors, another who carved into his own flesh, another who begged guards to end his life. Mental illness festers in silence here, and once you're inside ADX, treatment is rare. Isolation is the default. A place that breaks men. ADX. Florence was built to stop the most dangerous men alive, and in that mission, it has succeeded. Nobody has escaped, nobody has risen to power behind its walls. But in achieving that, ADX has also become something darker. A place designed not just to confine, but to crush the human spirit. It is the prison that breaks men. Some walk in as criminal masterminds. They end up shells of themselves, whispering to the walls, counting days that blur into years. A few die by execution, others by their own hands. The rest live out a slow-motion death, locked in concrete, forgotten by the world outside. The Unabomber's final chapter, the story of ADX. Florence cannot be told without Ted Kaczynski. The Unabomber, a former mathematics prodigy turned domestic terrorist. For nearly 2 decades, he waged a campaign of mail bombings that killed 3 and injured 23. When he was finally caught in 1996, the government needed a place where he could disappear. ADX became his tomb in life. For nearly 30 years, Kaczynski lived in a concrete box, his only seat. Ompany books, papers, and silence. Over time, reports leaked out. He read obsessively, wrote letters, and maintained a routine. But isolation weighs heavy even on the sharpest minds. In 2023, Kaczynski was found dead in his cell. Suicide. Even in death, ADX played its role. It didn't kill him outright. It simply kept him silent long enough until he broke himself. El Chapo, the drug lord who couldn't escape. If anyone could escape ADX Florence, it would have been Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, the world's most notorious drug lord. A man who escaped prison not once, but twice in Mexico, once hidden in a laundry cart, and once through a mile-long tunnel dug right to his shower floor. When he was extradited to the United States in 2017, the government had no doubt where to send him. ADX Florence, no tunnels, no bribes, no armies of cartel gunmen to storm the gates. Reports say El Chapo hates his life here more than anything he's ever faced. For a man who once commanded billions of dollars, thousands of soldiers, and lived with unimaginable luxury, he now spends his days staring at a slit of sky, powerless, forgotten. And that's exactly what ADX was built to do. Robert Hanssen, America's traitor. Robert Hanssen might be the most damaging spy in American history. For decades, he sold secrets to Russia, betraying his colleagues, his oath, and his country. His treachery led to the deaths of U.S. operatives and the compromise of national intelligence. When the FBI finally caught him in 2001, Hanssen was sentenced to life in prison. No parole. ADX Florence became his cage. For more than 20 years, Hanssen lived in near-total isolation. No internet, no contact with the world he once manipulated. Just a desk, a Bible, and silence. In 2023, Hanssen was found dead in his cell. The Bureau ruled it natural causes. But critics asked, What kind of natural life is one lived in concrete silence until the day you collapse? The forgotten men, when silence becomes madness. Not every man inside ADX Florence is a household name. Many are forgotten soldiers in America's endless war on crime. Gang leaders, bomb makers, violent lifers. Men who once thrived on power, now left to rot. One inmate, anonymous in records, clawed at his own skin until he bled, convinced insects lived beneath it. Another tried to swallow razors, desperate for either escape or sensation. Some smear blood and feces on their walls, screaming through the night until guards arrive. And others simply fade, sitting silently, rocking back and forth, their minds consumed by the endless void of isolation. Voices from inside. Former inmate, voice distorted. You lose track of time. Days, weeks, months, they blur together. You start talking to the walls. Some guys talk to themselves until they forget they're talking. You go crazy, but you don't even notice it happening. Former guard, voice firm, tired. The place is quiet, too quiet. You walk those halls and you feel the weight. You see men breaking piece by piece. Some of us guards, we broke too. Former inmate number 2, this ice distorted. At ADX, death is a friend, because at least death means it's over. When the world looks away, ADX. Florence exists in the shadows. The American public rarely questions it. Politicians point to it as proof of security. The media occasionally whispers about it. But for the men inside, it is a world forgotten. The United Nations has condemned its conditions. Lawsuits pile up, and yet ADX remains untouchable. Because for every complaint, there is always the answer. These are the worst of the worst. And for them, many argue, perhaps this is justice. But the question lingers. At what point does justice become cruelty? At what point does a prison built to hold monsters turn into a machine that creates them?